origin. So in other words, it may be Mexican tomatoes, for instance, labeled as Ontario-grown tomatoes. That gives rise to a number of dangers. First of all, food for consumption could cause disease, and if it does, the government needs to know immediately what the source of this food is. If it's mislabeled as Ontario tomatoes, when in fact it's foreign tomatoes, that's very problematic for them, and problematic for the people who are suffering from the foodborne illness, right? Another main danger is it may well be that tomatoes that are purporting to be Ontario tomatoes aren't inspected to the same degree as foreign tomatoes would be. And where they're grown, they may have totally different regulations about what pesticides are available for use. And so I know that in some cases, pesticides are used in some countries that we've outlawed in the 60s. So it's very important that we know, is it an Ontario tomato or not? It also may be a case where a foreign tomato bears pests that could endanger the Canadian crop. And beyond that, if a foreign tomato is shipped into Canada and relabeled as an Ontario tomato and then shipped to the United States, that could close down the whole border for the entire industry. I mean, 70% of all vegetables grown in Ontario are shipped to the United States. If the United States said, oh my goodness, you're shipping us tomatoes that are misrepresented as being Ontario tomatoes, they'd be within their right to close the border, which would have a catastrophic effect on the industry. And finally, you know, this area is intensely populated with hard-working, honest vegetable growers, and the profit margin is thin, and you know they have to compete with vegetable growers who cheat, and that's just not fair to the industry. So I mean, everybody in the industry needs to play with the same set of rules, and those rules include ensuring that the country of origin is properly labeled on the product.
What do you think about the fine? $210,000 and 3 years probation?
Well, you may have heard that the order of probation basically involves the company giving up any rights to privacy. The government agents, inspectors, have full access to all of their business records, full access to inspect all of their premises upon demand and without prior notice, even going so far as to ordering the company to provide keys and pass cards to the inspectors. So that way the inspectors are fully equipped to ensure that this company is brought into compliance with the regulations. That's one important aspect. The other is the fine, a total of $210,000. The court needs to look at the financial circumstances of anyone who's ordered to pay a fine to ensure that they have the ability to pay the fine. There was substantial investigation into the financial background of the company involved, and knowing what we know about their finances, it was felt that $210,000 would provide a deterrent.
Why did the company do this?
You'd have to ask them.
It was a very complicated, I think you said complicated investigation, right? It was like kind of a paper chase.
Oh yeah, I think the I recall looking at the amount of data involved. It was something in the line of the equivalent of 28 printed Bibles, I believe. So it was the amount of records involved to sift through was massive. Yeah.
And it took years, right?
Yes. Well, yes, I would say years is fair. It would have taken a couple of years, yeah.